Hey everyone, Eggman here with another video, and today we've got another double top 16 breakdown. We have the PPG Regional for Dragon Ball Super this last Saturday, as well as the CoreTCG Dragon Ball Super Regional this last Sunday. And between the two events, we have 16 unique leaders, so gonna buckle up. There's gonna be a bit of a longer video. And again, if you guys do appreciate all the work it goes into getting these deck lists to you guys, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. It would mean a lot to me. But going into the PPG event first, again, there was not, as far as I know, any stream for this one, and the top 16 is a Turles in the first place. We also have 3 Trunks of Vegeta, 3 Universe 7 Goku, which has been noticeably absent for the last couple of weeks, 2 Gammas, the Turles, as we said, Blue Baby, Aandroidd 16 Bulma, SS4 Vegeta, Beerus Reboot, which is also pretty spicy, Green Cooler, as well as a Black Mass Saiyan, which not to be confused with the Reboot Mass Saiyan, but the Black Mass Saiyan, so a really unique build there. And then on the core side, we did have Tommy V get it with SS4 Vegeta, but we do have 4 Trunks of Vegeta, 2 Gammas, the SS4, an AOD Babidi, Turles, Expert Deck Cell, Aandroidd 16, a Spaceship, a Raditz Reboot, a Green Cooler Blue Baby, and actually a Mass Saiyan Reboot. Also on the core side, a couple more extra tools. We do have a VOD for the live stream. It's on Twitch. It should be re-uploaded on this channel later this week as well as all of the leader breakdowns, since there were 128. We do have this big 16 others as well. 2 of them are, I think, the Sin Xeno and the Aandroidd 16 decks as well. So Aandroidd 16 did get a finish here, but yeah, it's a 128 list if you guys care about the breakdown there. But that is going to be it for like the overview, and we're just going to start off with the first place list on the PPG side on Saturday, Nick Menard's Turles list. Starting off, we do have Nick Menard's first place Turles list from the PPG side, and this is like one of my favorite lists in this meta. I've been kind of preaching it for most of it, and it wasn't until like the last couple weeks that it did start showing up, but it has for a lot of events. It got tops in both sides, which is really cool, and Nick being able to win this event is really, really cool. He's one of my people I've been talking about this list as well. He kind of turned me on to it back in May, so I'm really happy he was able to get a finish on this guy. So this is a mono yellow build, and also again, this is a best of 1, no pre-side, so that does kind of change some deck building choices there. 4 release from Evil in the main, Tyrannical Blow in main 2, and the Son Gohan tested ally in case there's any hand destruction, which is quite nice. Time Magic, Basil, 1 Final Flash, 1 Nimbus, like a bunch of 1-ofs. Nick is definitely not afraid to be playing these 1-ofs. The Aandroidd 1718 is one of my favorite cards that for this build too. It's just a good energy sink of 2, and then it's just 19k dual attack, but also your opponent doesn't want to get rid of it, otherwise they'll like lose some energy kind of thing. So I think that's a really good choice for this list in general. 1 Jiren because you lose to it, 1 Bardock, 2 Death Blasters. Death Blasters, I think, is quickly just being one of the best cards in these decks that can just get some easy, like Release from Evil we can discard for free as an extra card, which is quite nice. We also do have the Beerus as our super combo. So if your leader is red or yellow, when this card is used in combo for your hand, reveal the top card of your deck, add it to your hand. If the reveal card is red, it gets plus 5k, which never happens. Or if it's yellow, choose up to one of your opponent's cards in rest mode, it gets minus 5k. So not only is it a super combo, but it does let you like minus 5k, so it's good for just removal, and it doesn't care about your life total, which is fantastic because sometimes you just awaken at like 6 or 7 life and you just don't really have anything to do with it. So I do like the tech here, even though the Krillin to bottom deck some cards might be nice. I think it is, and get a little bit deeper, but again, just so many 1-ofs. And of course you run the Roomshi. I strictly think Roomshi, if you're playing mono yellow, is well deserved in this list. It's very good. And then the SS2 Gohan to help finish the game, and the Piccolo secret rare is fantastic. So really big fans of this list. He also made a video, I will link it in the description too if you guys want to see his thoughts on a lot of his 1-of choices and everything else. But again, congrats to Nick. I'm really happy you got this finish with this deck. Next up on the CoreTCG side, we do have Tommy's SS4 Vegeta, and this did end up winning the event as we mentioned, and a really cool kind of version of this list, especially with the Intoxicated by Justice doing a lot of work. Spoilers for a lot of these matches, but if your leader card is blue and there's no extra cards in your battle area and to get the attack, then you choose one of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring with an A cost of 1 or less, ignoring barrier. If you do, either you get to choose to place it at the bottom of his deck, or if your opponent may add the chosen card to their life face down and then draw 1 card to switch it to 1 of your blue energy to active mode. So it's a really interesting negate and it was fantastic in the AOD matchup. This is never a card I would expect in the main, but Tommy was a madman. He ran it, and it got so much value in this, especially with some like in the Trunks matchup too, being able to get rid of those 1-drop barrier boys that they think that, you know, they're invincible, they don't have to worry about. This totally gets rid of them, and it's very good from there. Otherwise, I'd say it's kind of a more generic, like from there, like SS4 Vegeta is pretty it builds itself a lot. You make a lot of these big bombs, you play a bunch of these Ultra Instincts and these Beerus destroys as well, and you just try to get some ramp. If you do get a 1 or 2 ramp, you usually win the game. Especially being able to play Majin Buu on turn 3 is just very oppressive. So again, congrats to Tommy for the finish. This Intoxicated by Justice just won in the tournament, and so funny that's how it worked out. So next up, we do have James Bacon's second place Blue Baby from the PPG side, and we've been seeing Blue Baby do a lot of work specifically in this meta, which I think a lot of people kind of turned off of it because the this card was eroded, it got nerfed, people stopped playing it. But we've been going into more of a slow meta where you can very easily kind of set up, and once you get to like 3 or 4 energy, you can drop it ready to rumble every turn, or just as many of these negates that are super good. You just have a lot of ways to just beat your opponent up. I do like the Rebirth of Justice with Mecha Frieza, not only for milling potential but for board clearing potential too. There's also again the King Coin. Like, this is just like a really slow mill deck that doesn't do anything until like the end of the game, where you can kind of mill your opponent out. So I think this is a really obnoxious deck to play against. It does a lot of good things, and I don't really have much to say except for congrats to James for their finish with this guy. Next up, we do have the Majin Buu. This is Justin Edwards' version of it, and I will say, like, this deck is moderately figured out. Like, there's not a lot of room for some new stuff, but the kind of cute little Janemba stuff is very powerful. Combo attack for Janemba just says choose 1 evil incarnate or demon card in your battle area other than copies of this card returns to the owner's hand. You get to play this card, then add 2 cards from your life to your hand. So just getting a attacker for free, which you can putting back either the baby Janembas or the Janemba 2-drop vanilla, which you can get off the Great Saiyaman 2. So when this card is played from your hand, play up to 1 skillless battle card, any cost 2 or less from your deck or drop. If you look through it, also green, choose 1 of your skillless battle cards, any cost 2 or less, add it to the return to the owner's hand. Play this card from your hand, and you can't play copies for the turn. So the kind of neat little thing you can do is that for 1, you can just hard cast this Garlic Jr. as long as you have your Babidi up. When this card is played, choose up to 1 Agent Destruction card of any cost 2 other than copies of this card from your deck. But its skill is negated for the turn, then shuffle your deck, which just means that you can get a skillless battle card. So for example, you would get the Lord Slug Mighty Agent of Destruction, which is a super combo. Then you can just use the Great Saiyaman for 1 to bring this back to your hand, so you get like a free card draw off that, and then you get to play like this Janemba for free there, and then you can even extend it even more with the combo attack Janemba. I think a lot of this can just happen for like turn 1, yeah, so you can just, or sorry, turn 2. Like, this is a really explosive turn 2 as long as you have your Babidi out and the pieces, and it seems just very strong. Obviously you're running this guy at 1 because you can only run it at 1. I bet you would run it like 2 or 3 if you could, especially since I think you could return this one as well if you want to. If you skillless, if you choose 1 of your blue skillless battle cards and it costs 2 or 3 in turn owner's hand, play this card. So you can also just like bring out a Turles and make it skillless if you don't have one out already, and then return it to your hand to play this, which is kind of nice. So I don't know, there's some really cute stuff. I do also like that this is just a good card in the archetype, and congrats just to Justin on the deck. I really like the new lines added to it, at least new to me. I don't know if they've been around for a while. Next up, we do have Daniel Alvarez's Gamma, which did take 3rd place on the CoreTCG side. And I don't know, like Gamma's pretty standard. I think it just depends on how risque you want to be with your top of deck energy recycling. So blue green is an option for some people, especially like the Aandroidd 16, since you can combo this for 1, make your opponent discard a card, which is quite nice, as well as a 1 of Kami, which can get a lot of value, especially in this meta. And I think there's just so many main deck choices people made that made so much sense, in the sense that people would not expect a Kami. I would not expect a Kami in main deck in this, and so especially in Gamma, where it can kind of screw up some of your charges at times. But being able to play this and kind of unexpectedly makes a lot of difference. Baby Gold Avenger, I'd almost want to say I'd want to run 2 of this guy, because you counter at 5, even though it's expensive, can help you win the game. And then just kind of more of the usual suspects we've seen from here. So anyways, congrats to Daniel on their finish there. And next up, we do have Jared Lopez, Aandroidd 16. Jared, I think Daniel got finished both days. Yeah, a lot of people played in both and they finished in both. I don't remember if Daniel finished in both. I don't think he Does not look like they did, but Jared definitely did. Jared definitely played Android 16 both days and was able to get a top 8 and a top 4 finish with it on the core side. So just the deck that I think he's known for is definitely the leader that got him to Worlds last year and did get some, put in some work there too. I also think this is a deck that a lot of people have on their radar that just strictly getting better with the Zenkai energy for free kind of stuff. So you are able to get a lot of free value from that and everything else. So congrats to Jared there. And next up, we will go to the Trunks Vegeta from the let's see, this is from the CoreTCG side. So this is Jonathan Miller's Trunks and Vegeta list. And so yellow, I think, is just doing really, really good. I don't think I have to tell you guys that kind of stuff, but anything too spicy. Death Blaster in this build too, I think that's kind of spicy. We are seeing the one of SS Blue Vegeta and SS Trunks father-son bond. So if you have 3 or more energy and you choose 1 yellow, I don't know, just being able to play this for free when your opponent's not expecting it is kind of nice. Or for 2 rather, but it's not too difficult to get this guy out, and it's for some extra pressure, especially since it's like a triple strike crit kind of later in the game. What else we got here? We do have like the single rose, which is interesting because normally I like to see this like when we have like an untap with like some blue energy, but I still think it's quite strong. Death Blaster at 1, I think we mentioned already. The Sengoku Absolute Annihilation, which if your opponent just is like tapped out and they think, oh, I can use a dormant or like a dimension magic to help me out, being able to play this and be like, you can't activate that card anymore, is very strong in some matchups, I think. So I don't have much more than that, except for that I think Trunks and Vegeta is really coming into its own. It's very strong. It's probably one of the best decks in the meta right now. And congrats to Jonathan for their finish there. Next up, we do have Seraphim, Zhang's Bulma, and Seraphim did get topping in both events with Bulma one day and Turles the other, so I think that is pretty cool. And this is looking a lot like the Danny Wynn list that he's been rocking for a while, and I think he did get some tops on the Gen Con regionals as well. This is such an obnoxious deck if you know how to do it well. So much ways to recur value. This Videl is so good too, and we'll have to see, like, especially like if there's ways to like this deck can easily combo a lot because you draw a lot. So because of that, it's going to be interesting to see if there's some Zenkai stuff. Red does get like a bunch of, I think, very strong Zenkai kind of battle cards, so I think that could be up to like that could just be even more value for a deck that's really jamming on getting a lot of value throughout the game. So I don't have a lot about this. This is looking very similar, and I've been talking about this list for a while, but it's in a really good spot. I think Bulma is very good. If you can commit the time to learn it, you're going to feel very, very good about it. Next up, we do have a Reboot Cell, and Reboot Cell did show up. It has been kind of wavering for the last little bit, but this is a pretty spicy build, I would say, with the kind of Super 17 and everything else that goes into it. So this is Damien's list, and some interesting choices. I don't know, I really like the Cell Absorber kind of route, especially since this is, I'm thinking more like a harder hand destruction build for it. So the Dr. Gero, when you discard 1 card in your hand, when this card is placed in your drop here from your scenario, your opponent discards 1, which is quite nice, and then +1, draw 1, or discard 1 to draw 1, gets plus 10k power, which means you can put your Cell there. Android 17 as a counter that you can then use the Cell effect to bring back to make your opponent discard 1, and then from there you can do some extra fun stuff. This also has the when this is removed from your battle area by a skill, you choose up to 1 Android 18 with any cost of 3 in your drop area. Play with the skill is negated for the turn 2, which means you get to get some free cycle, which means you can get these Android 18s back, which is quite nice as well. Does it have to be cost of 3? Yeah. So you can get these back for free, which means you can use this effect. It also doesn't specify green. No, it don't. So you can just even do these guys as well. So you can't. This has to just be in there. In your drop area already, but I think that's really easy to do because you can use this Android 17, choose up to 1 battle card with energy cost of 4 or less that has Android in its name, place in your drop area. So you can put this here, and then you can get this, and then if you go into the successor plays, you get this Android 17 18 out for free, which I don't know, this is a really spicy build. The more I'm looking at it and the more I'm recognizing all of the stuff that goes into it, it's very, very cool. And then Super 17 can just do a lot of value, especially since on turn 4, if you're just based on like doing a lot of damage instead, I don't like this. People aren't running blue as much in the sense of like the God Ceiling, and so without that, you're able to get a lot of value. So for one successor in, you can swing, or no, you can't swing because it goes on top. But then for another one, you have to place a Cell card from your deck or drop area. which is just this 3-drop here, and just go from there. Wrathful Charge is also an interesting pick. So if your leader card is green to get the attack, then choose one of your battle cards, place a drop here. If you do, your opponent chooses one card from their hand and place it in their drop, which means you can use this to get the cell in there, which means you get the 17, 18 out for free. And that seems like a really good, neat little thing. And then also the Golden Frieza to help end the game. I like this deck. I'm probably going to build it. It looks very, very fun. So congrats to Damien for the finish there. I really, really do like this build. So next up, we do have a U7 Goku. So this is Alejandro Torres Garcia's build of it. And this has been kind of, as I mentioned earlier, pretty absent from this meta. We haven't been seeing a lot of the U7 Goku in these past couple events. And it's been, I think people have been playing it. And honestly, for a while, I thought it was the best deck in the format, but a lot of people, I think, have been adjusting to what this deck can do, and you kind of have to be a little bit more clever and kind of do some alternate routes, which kind of stinks because this deck is a little bit linear. It does what it does very well, but if you know how to get around it, you have some kind of issues there. There's also this, let's see, I don't even know what this does. Choose 3 battle cards between 3 to 7 and place them bottom of deck in any order. When you play this card, gains critical and dual attack. So this is a Universe 7, and you can just play it vanilla. Is there any cheese for it? I don't think so. I could be wrong. I don't think there's any cheese for it. It's just a good card. I mean, it doesn't have deflect or barrier, but dual attack crit on a 20k is good. And you also get to recycle some cards, which is kind of nice. This is an interesting choice. You don't get a lot of free shuffles in this deck, though, right? So you don't really... just do some recycle, I guess, in case you're afraid of mill, which I think was a little bit prevalent for the weekend, too. So, I don't know. But congrats to Alejandro for the finish there. I think U7 Goku is still fine. I just think people are maybe a little bit bored from it, and they don't want to, and they've just been kind of rotating to kind of other decks. So next up, we do have Armando de Jesus's Goku GT, or the spaceship. And again, this is I think a lot of people at the gates thought this would be one of the premier decks in the format, and it's very good if you don't have a way to get rid of the spaceship. And a lot of decks, I think, do have ways to either interact with this or get some really good value off of like trying to get this out of your opponent's battle area. And if you're able to do that, you just kind of lose on the spot, which is really unfortunate for an archetype like this. But I don't have a lot of insight for this guy, unfortunately. I don't play a lot of red. We already know that, Difference of Status is a good card, but a lot of interesting choices for this deck. We do have the Krillin Super Combo. When you play this card, when this card is used to combo, then with Rejuvenate and Skill Text. So you don't even, it's just a red Earthling that you can draw, you can do Super Combo with. But is there any like Earthlings you can search for? There must be. There must be. I'm not seeing it. You guys can tell me in chat how I'm missing it. I'm not a big fan of Spaceship, but I do think it is a strong deck and it can get some tops, just like Alejandro did this weekend. So next up, we do have the Raditz, and this, as far as I know, this is Chris Acosta's, which is the same person who was able to top with it at Gen Con this month. And it's a pretty similar build, and he played a very great game on stream with us, and he played it against Tommy V, which means, spoilers, he did lose, but I think it was really tight. There's a lot of cool plays, and if only he could find if he found his Nappa on curve, I think it would have been a totally different game. And it was just a lot of him having to do a lot, like his opponent having to do a lot of top decks, and he got every card he needed off that top deck to kind of push for the win for it. So I think, honestly, I don't think this deck would be broken if they can find a Nappa Unison off of it. And especially since he couldn't awaken early because you need a Unison specified cost of 3, and he just wasn't able to find it. You do have tools like the Mighty Strike Prince of Destruction Vegeta to help find it, because negative attack, then play this card, then look at the top 7 of your deck. Up to 1 green Unison card specific cost of 3, then shuffle your deck. So not only do you have like a good turn 2 like Negate, but you also get to search for cards, and then you have a 25k swinger because it has Servant, but then just kind of sits there for the rest of the game. So 1-drop Raditz, I think, is also very good, especially since we're in a meta where there aren't a lot of black decks. There are a couple, which we'll check out after this, but without a lot of them in the meta right now, there's not a lot going on. So I do like the Wicked Saiyans as our super combo, especially as our secret rare, especially since you can add it from your leader, because it does have Raditz in its name. So that is I think a nice add to it. And then Majin Buu, if you can get to 5, and you just have like a really big energy sink. So I don't have much more to say. It has a sideboard, but it shouldn't. And then there obviously wasn't any siding in this deck. So I think this is just the same as their Gen Con list. They just copy pasted it, which is totally fine. It's a very, very strong list. So congrats to Chris on this one. And then next up, we do have Jimmy Sherman's Beerus Reboot, and I will be having a interview with him later this week, so I will be picking his brain on it. I would be very surprised if he was able to resolve the 16, but it is kind of just like an SS4 Vegeta in the effect that like you get some really good board control and you get to awaken early with this, and you get to do some ramping, which again, ramping in this game right now I think is absurdly powerful. Especially again, if you can get to Majin Buu, very easy. But when you have 4 or more energy, or your life is at 4 or less, you can draw 1. And like if you do print this on turn 1 and then turn 2, you can add it to your energy, and then you have 2 energy, and then you can go to 4. Start off Majin Buu, awaken, and then again when your opponent's life is at 4 or less, anytime this would do damage, choose 1 card in your drop and place in your energy in rest mode. And then we also do have the Majin Defier's E Supreme Kai, which can pay for energy costs, but it can't pay for this 16. So it can't pay for skill costs apparently. Like that's the one ruling I remember. I remember there's some interesting rulings with it, but that is something to consider there. But being able to do any ramp in this deck, I think, is fantastic. And then from there, it's just like a lot of good blue stuff. Tragedy Overground, just hard casting it for 9 is not a terrible play, especially since you should be able to get to 9 very easy. And then also the SS4 Vegeta, not a lot of people are playing kind of hard negates to this. There are some kind of death blasters for kind of more of the SS4 Vegeta leader, but if not, you just play this for 6 and you just get to ramp so much. It's absurd. So but anyways, like if this would do when your opponent's life is at 4 or less, anytime you deal damage to your opponent, choose up to 1 card, you drop, your place the energy in rest mode, which does kind of help you out there. But I like this deck. We're going to talk to them more about their experience, and congrats again to Jimmy on their finish. Next up, we do have Biriarr's Green Cooler. And this is like a deck that did very well for like the first couple weeks of the BT17 meta, and then everyone just kind of fell off of it, which is a real shame because there is some like really cool stuff with it, and like some hand instruction stuff which I like, and you can be very aggressive with it. There's some really good kind of unisons with this, especially since this leader doesn't have, like when with the Dripku leader, you don't what is it, you play the unison in rest mode. With this one you play them in active mode, and a lot of them do have these effects to get like the plus 1000 power for the turn, or plus 5k on the 10k kind of stuff, and being able to use it to just get like some extra swings and everything. Like we did kind of catch one of the games with it on stream, and it was really good. A lot of good plays with this, and it's very aggressive if your opponent's not kind of looking for it, especially since this Golden Freezer is such a good game ender. Like triple strike is fantastic, especially when it's a dual attack triple strike. It's just absurd. So again, congrats to Biriarr for their Green Cooler, and I'm happy that it's doing a little bit of work again. Next up, we do have this is Erik Rubino's. This is not Eric Molina's the Crit God, but a Crit God none the same with this SS3 Bardock Reborn from Darkness. And we did see like a good amount of like Black Saiyan leaders in the core event, at least, trying to just, I don't know, like relive the glory days, in lack of another word. So there's just very, like, I don't know, aggression's not very in this meta. A lot of them are kind of mid-range control decks. A lot of the aggression decks can just get stopped by a lot of the control options for it. So, but if you are fast enough and you are able to do like a really powerful turn 2, I think a lot of players are thinking, okay, it's only turn 2 right now, I can't get hit by a lot. But right now, so because of that, if you are able to get like a really good mill, or you're able to get a lot of good distraction with this kind of stuff, you can impact your opponent's game plan severely because of it. So I don't have a lot of specific insight. I do think this Mass Saiyan Spirit Boost Enigma is such a fantastic card, and you're able to get a lot of good pings off it. Supreme Kai of Time is super good. Even like if you never hit it, just having it in your hand and being a 10k combo is great for this deck too. And just a lot of, I don't know, it can be very aggressive if you need it to be, and it looks like it was able to do that a little bit. So congrats to Erik on their finish. And the last one, probably the spiciest list we've seen, is the Power Thirst Black Mass Saiyan. This is Shenron, this is BT5 because it's the Shenron block here, but it's a auto burst 3. When this card attacks, you get to draw 1, which means you can't get draw 1, and then life is at 4 less, you untap 2, and then on the other side, active main burst 3, you choose up to 1 black battle card that any cost 3 or more in your drop area, add to your hand, and this gains a plus 5k power for duration of the turn, which means there's a couple targets you are able to hit with this, which are quite nice, including like you can keep warping and resetting your SS3 Gogetas, which are really, really funny because they do meet that thing. This has to be played from our warp, so you can't get that guy back. You can get back your revived Ravager Vegetas, and then you can like go on top with this. This is an interesting Xeno evolve too. So no, this is Xeno, so it has to evolve. I forget how Xeno evolve specifically. You evolve by sending it to the warp, right? Instead of putting it on top of it. If I remember right, it's not evolving from the warp. That would be busted. I think you evolve on top of it and you send that to the warp. So you do on 3-drop here, 3 or less, because this is. Oh, this is a Xenophene. I don't know. It's late. I don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah, so you can use your effect to make your opponent like crit 15k if you want, or you can go into this for one more as a 20k. And once again, limit burst 1 when this card is played or when your opponent attacks. If this card is placed in your drop here, if the card placed in your drop here is a black stain, you get to draw 1. So just some kind of like nice little +1s effects, and getting some just additional mail, which means you can get some Supreme Kai of Times, you can get some time agents. And it looks like we're not playing the Go Tanks, but we are playing the Supreme Kai of Time, Another Dimension, which means that you pretty much get to get the Go Tanks effect by doing a mirror instead. And once again, warping a card, setting up your warp, and doing stuff is quite nice. And also just using the Supreme Kai of Time, Brainwash, Secret Rare is quite nice as well. So interesting card. With this goes, I think the idea is that you could return this, right? Maybe that was the play with this. So this does have servant, like if your opponent gets rid of this guy, it's removed from the game. Yeah. I don't know, you can't recycle this just because I'm thinking like the new secret. I don't know, I'm rambling too much. I'm tired. I need to end this video. You guys have made it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I know I'm a little not up and ups as much, but I hope you guys do enjoy this breakdown, and that is going to be it for me. So again, thank you to PPG and Core for the list. Make sure to check out the VOD on Twitch, and I'll catch you all next time.